Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this Fastlane 2019 review video. We are going to go through all the matches. We're going to go through everything that went down. We are doing this live. It's great to see so many people joining us. This is something that I would like to try and do on a regular basis, where we can actually talk about the show once the show is over. You can see this is a slightly different layout to our live streams. I know a lot of people that are joining us obviously watch the live streams that we do because we live stream every pay-per-view, every Raw, every SmackDown live. We have a look at the UFC as well. So plenty of stuff for us to talk about and go through. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know how busy everyone is. I know it's late on a Sunday night, but there's quite a bit of stuff that's just gone down, so we need to talk about it all. I can see everyone in the chat. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. So let's start, shall we, with the pre-show. Now, this was a little bit frustrating because one of the matches that I was looking forward to the most was going to be Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. They have fought a few times on SmackDown Live. They've stole the show. There's no two ways about it. Every time they've had a fight, they have stolen the show. What is really annoying about SmackDown Live is the fact that you keep getting interviews and commercials and, you know, lots of bits that just get in the way. So I was very much looking forward to this because I very much felt that, you know, they could do something very special here with no commercials. No, you know, like where they make the picture smaller and you have an interview, a promo in the corner. It's like super disrespectful. I really wanted to see them have a match without all of that. And we were robbed of that, basically. For no reason whatsoever. They changed it to a United States Championship match. They included Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio. And we were robbed of the one actual match I was probably most excited for watching from a wrestling perspective. That wasn't even on the pre-show. That match was meant to be on the pre-show. They moved it to the main card. Instead, we only had one match on the pre-show. It's the first match we're going to look at. This is New Day versus Nakamura and Rusev. Really don't want to spend too long on this match because it was a bit of a sleeper match. Obviously, we found out as well that Vince McMahon wanted to see Kofi Kingston. So Kofi wasn't at ringside for this. He was backstage trying to have a meeting with Vince McMahon about that WWE Championship because apparently Vince wanted to have a word with him about that. So when it comes to this match, not a great deal to go through. Lana grabbing the leg of Xavier. Of course, there was Mashka kicks. There was a lot of close falls. It's quite a slow match to start with. But I really liked that one moment in this match where Rusev had Xavier Woods in the accolade. And Rusev was fairly close to the ropes. Like, Xavier could have grabbed him, but Nakamura actually pulled the ropes away. I thought that was really clever. We have seen heels doing things like that before, but honestly, it's been a long, long time since I've seen a heel do that. It was just a little throwaway moment on the pre-show, but yeah, I really did enjoy it. Up, up, down, down, won this match for the New Day. Again, it's not really got any long-term connotations or anything like that. I think we've pretty much said everything that needs to be said. But what do you rate it out of 10? Let me know. Out of 10, what do you give the New Day versus Nakamura and Rusev? I am going to throw a 6 into that. I don't feel like it was terrible, but there was nothing of note. Right, moving on. Obviously, Rey Mysterio against Andrade, as we said. We were very much robbed of that match. We got the United States Championship match instead. I can see people saying 5, 5.7, 7, 4, 5. I feel like my 6 out of 10 was pretty much in line with what you guys think. We're around the 5 to 7 mark. I've gone with a 6. Did Seth drop the F-bomb at the end? I believe he did mouth something, yes, so every chance that he did, I would have to go back and double check it. It's not something that I've put down in my notes, but yeah, you could see that at the end of this pay-per-view, there was real emotion there. They really are selling the fact that that was the last time we were going to see the Shield. We will come to that when we get to the Shield. Let's keep working our way through this card. Next up, we've got what I think was a very, very good match. Feel free to fire in your scores on this one. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade versus Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, Andrade, Samoa Joe, and who was the other one? Who's the other person that's in this match? Rey Mysterio, Andrade, Samoa Joe, R-Truth, of course it was, with his tribute to John Cena. I did enjoy that. I do like the fact they keep doing that, and they keep building up the fact that John Cena is R-Truth's hero. I think that's clever. I'm kind of into it. I want to see where it leads. Pretty sure we're going to build towards Samoa Joe, John Cena at WrestleMania. You can see a lot more positive scores coming through here from people. And I totally agree. It's a few 7s, 8s, and 9 coming in from awesome plays. George Evans says 1,345. Which is very high. In this match, we got a double springboard hurricanrana. We got a reverse rana as well later on in the show. That was the only time I saw a reverse rana. This match had lots of hurricanranas. Zelina Vega even went for that hurricanrana. We saw her do it to R-Truth before. She couldn't quite get it on. And she ended up getting, planted on the floor. Carmella came over. We then had a showdown between them two. R-Truth's 5-knuckle shuffle. And basically this ends with Mysterio passing out to the Coquina clutch. Really good match. Back and forth action. Roman Reigns fan says 10 out of 10. Just because of the tribute to John Cena. It was fun. It was a fun match. People saying 8 or 9. I don't feel like it was at that level. So not a 9 level anyway. So I'm going to give it the 8. I'm going to go with an 8 there. So 8 out of 10. Very, very fun match. Considering it was thrown together last minute. I still feel, though, that Rey Mysterio versus Andrade as a singles match could have been even better had they have given us that match. So I do feel a little bit robbed. Black and Ricochet versus Revival versus Gable and Roode. Quite a fast-paced match, this. Didn't kind of outstay its welcome. Ricochet delivering hurricanranas to Dawson. Delivered that hurricanrana to the outside. I think it was Dawson, actually, that Ricochet hit a hurricanrana on. Dawson went crashing down to the outside on top of Roode and Gable. I was saying this on the live stream. I really like the Bobby Roode, Chad Gable team, but they wear blue robes. They had red ring attire, which is fine. But I hate the fact they don't have a team name. It's such a little point, but I feel like, you know how they both have that spinning entrance now? That looks classy. They both have the robe. That looks classy. But the fact that they're called Bobby Roode and Chad Gable is clunky. It needs to be a bit slicker than that. Like, they're all about style. I just don't feel their name is stylish enough. So, really feel like that's something that needs to be tweaked if those two are to stay as a tag team. I was really pleased that Aleister Black and Ricochet didn't win. Ricochet didn't really get his big moment. He certainly hit his 630 splash at the end, which was very cool. But we didn't really get anything that we hadn't seen before. I'm not sure if people are going to be talking about this match like in the grand scheme of things. So you could argue that it didn't really deliver. I'm just pleased that the Revival retained. I felt it was important that they retained. I kind of felt like they always would retain because of the fact that if they lose here, maybe they get a Mania match. I'd expect they'll get one anyway. But I think WWE really don't want to lose the Revival. I think they appreciate the Revival. I think they are going to do some work with that tag division. I think they've been a bit unlucky with Authors of Pain picking up injuries. And, the tag division kind of just really underwhelming. That's WWE's fault. Like, they really should, in my opinion, have never broken up American Alpha. I feel like that was a great team. And they make too many teams, comedy teams like the Ascension, and it's a bit messy. But if you're going to build a tag division, you need the Revival. The Revival are, in my opinion, the best out there. So get your scores in for Black and Ricochet versus Revival versus Gable and Roode. I'm saying this was probably better than the New Day match, but nowhere near as good as Rey Mysterio and Andrade. People, DB House 09 says 7 out of 10. Evan Blackman says 8 or 9. Really? Awesome plays, 7.9. Tyler says 7. TG Freeze says 6. Nando says 6.9. E-Man says 6. I'm kind of leaning more towards E-Man here. I'm quite surprised at how many 7s are in there. I think this was better than the New Day match, so I'm going to give this 6.5. 6.5 out of 10 for that. Couple of nice moments, but I don't think it really delivered its key moment, and that would be for us to still be talking about it. This match has already been forgotten by a lot of people. Next up, this is something for us to get our teeth into here. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin versus The Shield. I was very surprised that this main evented the show. I said that in the live stream. I really thought that Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair was going to main event the show. And as soon as I found out it was going to be The Shield, I was waiting for a twist. I was waiting for something to happen. I really thought that we might get the Undisputed Era. I just felt like if this is the last time you're seeing The Shield, you've got one opportunity to bring the Undisputed Era up now, and I would have done it tonight. There's no reason why at WrestleMania you can't do Undisputed Era against Roman and Dean. You could even have Seth at ringside. Like, just, Seth making sure that, say, Adam Cole doesn't get involved if it's Adam Cole that's on the outside. I feel like there was a story that could have been told there. I don't know what the future's going to hold for Roman, what his Mania match is going to be. I really feel like the Dean Ambrose thing is a work. I've always felt that. That was a work. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. You could tell that Dean was absolutely loving it in the ring tonight. Roman looked good being back. The crowd were cheering. The crowd were rampant at the end. At the end of this match, the crowd were going absolutely crazy. They were a little bit quiet at the start. I struggled to get into this match at the start. But honestly, I think when they went into the crowd and we got those mad spots over by the kickoff show, it really reminded me about 2014 Shield. Because in 2014, it was the Shield against Evolution at Payback. And Seth Rollins jumped out of the crowd, came crashing down onto Evolution. It's a really great spot. I think that was actually the night before their first breakup. I think they split for the first time the next night on Raw. So, yeah, quite a big show that was in 2014. And this felt very reminiscent of that. It was very cool. Why did Baron Corbin kick out of the Superman punch as well? That made no sense to me. I had no idea why. I mean, like, he got hit clean. That is a Superman punch. That's Baron. That's not Brock Lesnar. That's Baron Corbin. I had no idea why he managed to get up after that. I was amazed. People saying 10, 9. Jennifer Carter saying 20 out of 20. Yeah, this was a great match. Very, very enjoyable. I actually don't know if it was my favourite match, though. I'm leaning more towards that triple threat, the WWE Championship match. As we said, there was a reverse Rana in there, which I just thought was absolutely fantastic. This was probably around the Rey Mysterio, Andrade. There's a lot of 10s. There's a lot of 10s. You guys are changing my mind here. AJ Styles says 10. Evan Blackmore says 10. Gavin Marlowe says 10. Nick says 10. I can't go for 10 out of 10. I can't. It wasn't the perfect match. I'm going 8.75. That's the highest I can go. I wasn't even going to go that high. I was feeling like a 8.25, but just because of you guys, I've gone to an 8.75. That ending was absolutely fantastic. The crowd were on their feet. They were cheering for those triple power bombs. No swerve at the end. It was just like, I think if you wanted to show someone a great Shield match, I really feel like this is a match you would show them. But this was not the perfect match. This was not a 10 out of 10 match. But I think it probably did just pick that Rey Mysterio, Andrade, R-Truth, Samoa Joe match. And we've got to talk about, just before we do move on, that emotion. I think the emotion in the face of all of them kind of really did sell the idea that is the last time you're going to see the Shield. So it's really fascinating to know where Dean Ambrose is going to go from here. It's fascinating to think what Roman's going to do at WrestleMania. I still feel like Roman and Dean will team together at WrestleMania. We know what Seth's doing. I just feel like that's the best option for Roman and Dean. But we'll have to wait and see. It was a great Shield match, to be fair. Future Marine saying the emotion was crazy. Talking of emotion, let's move on to our next match. Asuka versus Mandy Rose. This was emotional because, of course, Mandy was doing a decent job. She was holding her own. It was really weird because there was a minute where the match just went crazy. In the ring, Mandy Rose had Asuka up and she didn't really do anything with her. She ended up like putting her down. Like, I don't think she knew what to do with her. I think that was the problem. I don't know if it was a bit of a botched spot. I don't know if Sonya Deville was meant to do something, but she actually ended up looking under the ring, Sonya Deville, and there was nothing there. So she put the apron back down. That was happening at the same time as Mandy Rose was doing something weird in the ring. It's just a crazy moment that didn't really lead anywhere. Obviously, we would find out later that Sonya Deville would again go under the ring, but this time she would find a kendo stick. She would pull out that kendo stick. She was ready for when Asuka would come against the rope so that she could smack her in the back. Sadly, Mandy Rose goes against the ropes and ends up tripping, stumbling in like you would on a banana peel. She slipped on the ring apron that had been held up. It was a weird moment, but it was cool as well, and it was a nice way for Mandy Rose to not get completely battered. Asuka can retain. This is maybe going to build with a feud again between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Perhaps they're going to head towards their separate ways again. And yeah, look, it was what it was. I don't think the match itself was that memorable. What do you think? Get your scores in for that Asuka versus Mandy Rose match. You can see the scores have dropped right down now. We've got 4, 5, 4, 1.2 from Future Marine. The match ending to Rose and Asuka was blooming awful. Rose didn't even connect with the apron. That's a good point from Mike Wilson Barrett. Man, that match did not do as good as I thought it would. A lot of 5s here. I really feel like this match underwhelmed. There was a couple of moments where they just got a little bit lost. I really would agree with you guys. There's a lot of fives. Who am I to argue? Let's go with a 5 out of 10 for that match. Not as fun as that pre-show New Day match. So 5 out of 10. Asuka versus Mandy Rose. Right, some big stuff coming up now. We've got some big hitting matches to really get our teeth into. We got Boss and Hug Connection against Nia Jax and Tamina. Now, what I would say about this match is the match itself was pretty flat as well. Like, for me, I think I'd be looking around that 6 out of 10 mark. There really wasn't a great deal. Bayley pins Nia with the roll-up. Everything about this is the post-match beatdown. So Beth Phoenix was on commentary, and Nia Jax and Tamina actually, even after the match, in frustration, beat up Bayley and Sasha. Beth Phoenix would actually stand up, would get into the face of Tamina, and I can't believe how big Beth Phoenix is. She was actually taller than Tamina. I didn't know that, but she was taller than Tamina. And in all fairness, she fired the first shot. And this meant then that Nia Jax attacked and Tamina attacked Beth Phoenix. Boos were raining down from the crowd. It was a great moment. Really, really good moment. Because those boos were raining down, they were getting that heat. And this drew out Natalya. I just wonder where we're leading with this. You know, is it going to be the Boss and Hug Connection against Beth Phoenix and Natalya at WrestleMania? Is it going to be, say, Natalya and Beth Phoenix versus Nia and Tamina? The winner goes on to WrestleMania. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. Worth mentioning, the Iconics on the pre-show as well. They said they were still looking for the Boss and Hug Connection. I really feel like we will get Bayley and Sasha versus the Iconics on SmackDown Live at some point. But it's hard to know who the WrestleMania opponents are going to be. So, yeah, I think the match, honestly, it was 6 out of 10, if that. Again, it wasn't a great match, not memorable. But that post-match beatdown was interesting. What do we think? What do we think? I could give that, I'm going to give it a 7. There's a lot of mixed numbers. Michael Myers Sis says 6.5. Gaming Rainbow says 5. George Evans says 7.5. Nick says 3. There's a real mixed bag there, but I'm going to go with 7. I'm going to play it very, very safe. That would not be that high if it wasn't for that post-match beatdown. It's all about that post-match beatdown. If you are watching in the chat, let me know, who is Boss and Hug Connection going to face at WrestleMania? Of course, we've got big matches to talk about in the review, but just before we move on, I want to talk about who is Boss and Hug Connection going to face at Mania. People still firing their scores in. I feel like it might be Trish and Lita. I feel like it could be Beth Phoenix and Natalya now. They've really come out of nowhere. It would be cool to have Beth against Nia in any capacity. I agree. That would be a good match. Jamie McKay says Team Bestie. Trish and Lita. Future Marine thinks the Bellas. Deacon Collins thinks maybe a fatal 4-way. That's not a bad shout. Meme Patrol thinks Enzo and Ellsworth. Love that. Yeah. Ellsworth's got to be involved, hasn't he? He's always involved in these women's matches. Sky Pirates would be good. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane. Iconics, I think, will just happen on SmackDown, to be honest. Kairi and Io, I don't think, are big enough for WrestleMania. I think you've really got to be on that main roster. You arguably need to be a legend, so maybe it will be Team Bestie. If it's Bella's, I will turn off the TV, says Brian G. Braun and Nicholas. Braun and Nicholas. Love that. Maybe Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. Yes, E-Man. I can't see anything wrong with that prediction. Crime time. Honestly, some great suggestions. That brings us, though, we've got to move on to the Usos versus Shane and Miz. Wow. This was absolutely awesome. Moment of the night. I'm going to chuck it in there right now. Moment of the night. Shane turns heel. Now, the only problem is that it happened for me too early. Like, it was a big moment. This was the first match on this show. This is what opened the main card. The main show was Usos versus Shane and Miz. The match itself actually was all right. In my notes, I've got down around about a 7 out of 10. That spot, we have to talk about that spot. Jey Uso was up on the top rope, and he was on the top turnbuckle. He was about to come crashing down on the Miz. Shane, though, was on the top on the other turnbuckle, and they were talking trash to each other. They were like, don't you do it, don't you dare, don't you go for it. Jey Uso goes for it, and as he's mid-air, Shane McMahon jumps over and drop kicks him out of mid-air like an anti-aircraft missile. Bang! Takes him out. It's a fantastic moment. It was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, I will give the match credit there. Lots of hot tags, lots of moments where Shane was trying to get to Miz. There was some nice cross bodies to the outside. I think the Miz did a great job. And they've done a great job on this for a while now of getting across the fact that this was Miz's hometown. You know, on the pre-show, we saw Mr. Miz. The Miz was wearing a Cleveland is awesome shirt. It was all designed for this heel turn. And the heel turn was executed perfectly. I suppose we need to talk about the fact that the Usos retained. I definitely feel like that's the right shout. Obviously, it looks like we might be building towards the Usos against the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania. I think that would be a great match. Surely now we're going to get the Miz versus Shane. But yeah, for those of you that didn't see it for whatever reason, they lose the match. I think Miz, with a little small package, got rolled up. 1, 2, 3. It was as simple as that. It wasn't any kind of big moment. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. The Miz gets rolled up. And then they jump out the ring. The Miz is saying he's sorry. Shane's saying, look, I understand. It's all right. It's cool, whatever. They go over to Mr. Miz. They're holding up the arms of Mr. Miz. I don't know why. No one won. The Usos won. They left ages ago. But they're holding up his hands and everything. It's one of them. Miz goes to walk off. And from behind, like a cowardly heel, cowardly move, Shane McMahon, bang, struck him as well. He went down. And then just started laying into him, put him in a submission hold. He's talking trash to Mr. Miz as well. Mr. Miz, the most useless parent in the world. What was he doing? His son's getting absolutely battered. And Mr. Miz is just like, come on. Come on, don't do that. It's like, come on, Mr. Miz, jump over the barricade. Jump over the barricade, save your son. Let's have a triple threat. Let's have Mr. Miz against Shane McMahon. But no, I think at one point Mr. Miz tried to get past security, but he couldn't. They said no, so what was he meant to do? So yeah, Mr. Miz, the worst father in the history of fatherhood. But really great selling from the Miz. Fantastic heel turn by Shane. And it is my moment of the night. I know the Shield reunion was cool. I know that Ronda coming down was cool. I know the Beth Phoenix moment was cool, but nothing for me reached that level of Shane turning heel. So that's my moment of the night. Shane is turning into Vince. Miz's shoulder was up. Ooh, was it? Yes, Miz's shoulder was up. Wow, I did not see that. This is why I'm loving this review stream. Miz's shoulder is up. That's going to be an interesting story. And I feel like the reason that he's turned on him is because they won a title together. Everything was going well. But I think Shane can turn around and say, look, you was never best in the world. You never won that tournament. I had to step in. You got injured. You got injured at that tournament. I won it. And then you're running around claiming you're 2/3 best in the world. And you're running around saying that you're taking, my achievements from me. I achieved that, not you. We won championships together, but then you let the team down. You let the team down. 1, 2, 3. I'm not putting up with it. I'm not putting up with failure. I'm a McMahon, or something along those lines. I think that makes perfect sense. Mr. Miz. I know Mr. Miz is useless. Mr. Miz is useless. He is the most useless father in the history of fatherhood. So, get your scores in, guys. What do you think about the match? What did you think about the match? That mid-air anti-aircraft moment was amazing. Beautiful work. He turned because Miz is annoying. That's a fair point. Miz is annoying. That's a very good point. He was so pumped for this as well, and he had the crowd behind him. And do you know what I mean? Like, Miz was constantly going, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Everything all right? Yeah, we'll get him. Yeah, we'll get him next time. But you all right? You don't look all right." He was quite annoying. In fairness, he could just come out and go, "God, you're annoying." So, 10s, 7.5. And the worst father award goes to Mr. Miz. I'm going to say that this match was a 7 out of 10 match. So I think the match wasn't really much special. It had that great moment though. But that turn was absolutely brilliant. I'm going to push this up to that 8.25. I'm saying this was it doesn't deserve to be that high. This is all for that turn. Otherwise, it was definitely better than Boss and Hug versus Nia and Tamina. So it'd probably be a 7.5. But I'm actually giving it an 8.25 just because of that amazing heel turn. Right, that brings us to Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is fascinating because it was meant to be a straight one-on-one match. We found out on the pre-show that the McMahons wanted to see Kofi Kingston. And apparently he'd been waiting outside all this time. Like for over an hour, he'd been knocking on the door. No one had said come in. So Big E just charges in. And Vince is like, "Where have you been?" And he says, "Look, you should put Kofi in this." Big E is trying to convince Vince. And Vince says, "Look, yes, it will be a triple threat." He never at any point says Kofi will be in that triple threat. During the live stream, I even said, he never mentioned Kofi. He hasn't mentioned Kofi. So maybe Kofi's not going to be in this match. He says you need to get out there because that match is next. He does lie to Kofi there because Kofi goes out. And then obviously the announcement's made that it's not the championship match. It's a handicap match. Kofi versus The Bar. I'm not even going to rate this match. It's not a real match. It's a handicap match. I don't even know. I think the purpose of it was to ensure that Kofi wouldn't make it to the main event. Kofi was a bit of a problem tonight because he wasn't scheduled for a match, but he was obviously there. And so I think they wanted to take away the idea that he was going to run down and he was going to interfere. And I think how they did that was by beating him down, putting him in a handicap match and taking the Kofi problem away, if you will. We're definitely building towards Daniel Bryan versus Kofi. This Cleveland crowd were fantastic, really vocal, really passionate. They were really behind The Miz, and they really came through here. I have said several times, do not take for granted Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. Don't just expect that match to happen. Thankfully, this crowd didn't. They were very vocal, and hopefully that message has been sent again. This is what we want to see at WrestleMania. So that brought us to this match. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus what we thought would be Kofi Kingston, but it turned out to be Mustafa Ali. This match was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus Mustafa Ali. As I said earlier in this review, reverse Rana from Mustafa Ali. I've got Daniel twisting the arm of Kevin Owens, really pulling it back, and the camera kept cutting over, and like Rowan standing there going, "Oh yeah," he was loving it. He was like, "Yeah." It was sick. He's perverted. He is a perverted man, but he was really enjoying that, watching Kevin Owens in pain. So yeah, that was cool. And reverse Rana, 450, splash, Spanish fly. I love the Spanish fly. It's not, you see it quite a bit in 205 Live. You don't see it that often on the main roster. And they delivered one here. Mustafa Ali bringing some of those moves from 205 Live, hitting a Spanish fly. What was great about this match was it wasn't a spot fest. It wasn't spot after spot after spot after spot after spot. It was just a really, really well thought out, well played out match. You had Rowan there, kind of muddying the waters as well. So, what do you think, guys? Get your scores in for this. 10 out of 10. Ashton says 1 out of 10 because Kofi wasn't in it, which is fair enough. 8.5. Enjoyed the mix of old and new. I'm into that, yes. 8.2. I'm people are saying 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna go with 8.75. I'm gonna say this was right up there with that Shield match. Like, the end of that Shield match was insane. The crowd were going mental. But the first part of that Shield match was a bit of a sleeper. So I feel like that's an 8.75. I feel like this, what with the whole Kofi story, the fact we got Spanish Fly, Reverse Rana, loads of action, 8.75. And honestly, I'm going to say this was the match of the night. If I had to watch one match again, I would watch that Bryan versus Ali versus Owens match, because I really feel like with the Shield match, and I think this is important, I think with the Shield match, it was a greatest hits. It had emotion, but there was nothing that you hadn't seen before. It was the Shield doing what the Shield do. Whereas with this, you saw some really great moments, stuff that you really don't see that often, like that Spanish Fly, like that Reverse Rana, like Daniel Bryan twisting and contorting the arm of Kevin Owens. 450 splash on the edge of the ring from Mustafa Ali. Crossbody into knees. We had the stunner. Kevin Owens hitting that stunner. Only getting a 2. There was close falls. It just shades it for me. Match of the night. It just shades it. So that brings us to the final match we need to talk about. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Honestly, I was worried because Charlotte should not lose to a one-legged Becky Lynch. I honestly thought that Becky was going to throw the crutch away and be like, "Come on!" I thought she was going to do a Nakamura. "Come on!" And make out that it was all make-believe and she'd been playing possum all this time. She didn't. She sold that knee injury all throughout this match. And there was a couple of moments that I didn't enjoy in this match. It felt a bit clunky, where Charlotte gets pushed to the outside, and if you're Charlotte, you're going to go to town on that knee. You're going to win. Charlotte is too good to be in trouble with a one-legged Becky Lynch. That's my feeling on it. So, parts of this match was losing me. And then, of course, Ronda Rousey comes down. Ronda Rousey comes charging down. And very clever from Ronda. Attacks Becky, which means Becky wins by DQ. Becky Lynch wins this match by disqualification. And that was clever from Ronda. Ronda wanted Becky in that Mania match. I don't think she wants Charlotte in there. I'm not sure she wants to defend against Charlotte and Becky, but that's what she's got now. And it's going to be a very interesting main event. I can't see any other result than Becky wins. How can Becky not win at WrestleMania? How can Kofi not win at WrestleMania? The problem WWE have got is they're building up these stories, but they do feel like they've got predictable ends. Unless maybe Kofi doesn't win because Big E turns. I really feel like it's time for a New Day split. And we were talking about on the live stream how if Kofi becomes WWE champion, he's got quite a few options. He's got quite a few opponents that he could go on to face. Like, he could have a triple threat with Big E and Xavier Woods. Like, a New Day triple threat match would be absolutely fantastic. Kofi could also go on and face Mustafa Ali. Obviously, a rematch against Daniel Bryan. But without even breaking a sweat, there are several matches, great matches, that Kofi Kingston could have. I don't know if I feel the same with Becky. I feel like the women's roster is really lacking in great matches. I suppose we could build towards four horsewomen, but who's Becky going to face? She's already faced Asuka and lost. She's already faced Charlotte many, many times. Who's she going to face? Alexa Bliss? Would that even be a good match? Does anyone care about Nia Jax and... Well, certainly not Tamina. Lacey Evans. We saw Lacey Evans tonight. She came walking down in a lovely red skirt. Let's not make any mistakes about that. She was rocking some lovely outfit. But what are they doing with Lacey Evans? That whole thing is a mess as well. They just solved the problem that no one wanted Charlotte in WrestleMania. Yeah, true. Vince hates people who forget they are Jamaican. Disappointed because nothing happened after the match. No beatdown or fight. Very true. Yeah, very true. New Day could do an evolution. A.K.A. Kofi turn. Yes, very true. Yeah, I think that will happen. I honestly think you put the title on Kofi. Kofi drops it to Big E. And then you have a Big E singles run. Big E as a heel. As this big monster heel. Someone that could then have matches against the likes of, I don't know, maybe you turn Nakamura face, or you could have matches against Mustafa Ali. There's options. AJ Styles, Big E, a heel Big E against AJ Styles for the title, like around SummerSlam time, would be awesome. But anyway, we're getting distracted. We need to talk about Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Wasn't a great match. She sold that injury all throughout this match. They're just showing a replay as well here of that heel turn. Of course, Shane grabbing the face. Don't think we mentioned that he actually grabbed Mr. Miz, hurled him back. Mr. Miz just glows in the dark, is as orange as the Miz's t-shirt. Anyway, all of that to one side. Get your scores in for Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. I honestly think it underwhelmed. I think Ronda coming down was the best way to get out of a bad situation. I can see people saying 3, 4. Does feel a little bit low. Little Sam 2000 says New Day triple threat. Samuel Marshall says moment of the night was Lacey Evans' dress. Yes. Hard to disagree, my friend. They need to stop doing whatever they're doing with Lacey Evans. 9.5. Can I get a shout out? Of course you can, Nick Petrella. Shout out to you. 5, 3, 7, 5. I'm gonna give it a 6. I feel like it was just nothing much to it. It just was what it was. Yeah, it just was what it was. Maybe a 6.5 actually. I don't feel like the tag match was better. The Black Ricochet versus Revival. I'm happy with that. That's how I score each individual match. With your help, there's a few scores there that have been pushed up thanks to you guys. So that's how I score it. So the final thing we need to do is score this show overall. Taking all of those scores, what do you rate Fastlane? This is the big one. What is your final Fastlane score? It is what it is. 6.8. 6.8. Shout out to Gustavo. Shout out to Ashton. 5 from DB House 09. I feel like it was better than a 5. 7 from Shayna Wrestling. Shout out to Alonzo. Goodbye from Sean. Goodbye. 8. 9 out of game. I feel like 9 is way too high. Way too high. 6.5 from DB House. 7.127. 708. 6. 6.75. I'm going to go with 7. I'm going to go with a 7. I feel like it would have been a 6, but that heel turn was absolutely majestic. So, I feel like solid show. Not much disappointed. There's not a great deal that's a disaster there. So, pretty solid show overall. That heel turn, fantastic moment. I think the Shield at the end was nice. Felt emotional. I would say this was a show that was worth watching, but would you go back and watch it? Maybe for that heel turn. Probably not for anything else. But yeah, that's how I see that playing out. Guys, that is it. As I said, I don't really want to take up too much of your time. I think actually this was even longer than I anticipated. I only wanted it to be like 15 minutes. I think we've been going for like 45. Thank you so much for watching. When it comes to the big shows, I definitely do want to do these live stream reviews. I don't want them to go too long or outstay their welcome, so I'm just going to leave them as quick as I can. So 45 minutes is longer than I'd like, but, well, you know, we all learn from our mistakes. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and join us tomorrow for Raw. We will be doing a live stream of that. Live stream on SmackDown Live. We're back for UFC at the weekend. We're building towards WrestleMania. There is a lot going on at the moment. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.